you ever found yourself in a situation where you completely understand what someone is saying in a new language, and like you can read it perfectly, but the second you open your mouth to reply, your brain just completely freezes?
Oh, absolutely. It's like the connection between your mind and your mouth just gets entirely severed.
Right, exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember trying to order coffee on a trip once, and despite, studying the vocabulary for weeks, I just stood there. I pointed at a pastry and practically grunted.
It is such a universal experience, and honestly, it's one of the most frustrating parts of acquiring a new language. You experience this, well, this cognitive traffic jam.
A traffic jam, yeah, that's exactly what it feels like.
Right, because your brain possesses the information. It is sitting right there in your memory, but the neural bridge required to actually articulate those thoughts is just, temporarily out of service.
Well, welcome to today's deep dive, everyone. I am your resident language enthusiast, and sitting across from me is our analytical guide.
Hello, everyone. Really glad to be here.
Today, we are pulling from a massive, incredibly detailed collection of insights provided by the English Prime channel. And our mission for this deep dive is to really figure out how to dismantle that mental roadblock.
We really want to get into the mechanics of it.
Yeah, we want to take you from feeling stuck, frustrated, and silent to unlocking real, natural fluency. We're going to cover the psychology, the physical hacks, and everyday vocabulary.
And what stands out immediately in the materials from the English Prime channel is that, the barrier to fluency is almost never about a lack of intelligence or a bad memory.
Right, which is what everyone assumes.
Exactly. It is fundamentally an issue of psychology. The journey doesn't start in a textbook. It actually starts with how we perceive our own identity as a learner.
I noticed that too. The sources spend a surprising amount of time on psychology before even, touching on grammar rules. Why start there?
Well, because if your internal framing is broken, no amount of vocabulary is going to save you. The materials draw this really sharp contrast between what they call the stuck mindset and the growing mindset.
The stuck mindset. That sounds heavily definitive.
It is. It's characterized by definitive absolute statements. It is that heavy, sinking feeling when you mess up and you just tell yourself, I am bad at this.
Wow, yeah, that feels so permanent. If you tell yourself you are just inherently bad at something, it completely strips away any motivation to try again.
Totally.
It becomes an identity rather than a temporary state.
That is the exact danger. Saying I am bad at this implies a finished condition. And when the brain perceives a task as a finished failure, its natural self-preservation instinct is to just stop expending energy on it.
Makes total sense. Why waste the energy?
Right. But the growing mindset changes that cognitive framing entirely. So instead of I am bad at this, the internal narrative becomes I am learning this.
And the sources offer this incredibly simple tool to force that shift in real time. It's just one word, the word yet.
Just yet.
Yeah, if you catch yourself saying, I don't understand, you just attach yet to the end of the sentence. So I don't understand yet.
The neurological impact of that tiny word is actually profound. It instantly transforms a statement of defeat into a statement of momentum.
Oh, I like that momentum.
Yeah, it forces your brain to acknowledge that fluency isn't some genetic trait you were born without. It is simply a timeline you are currently traveling on. And a crucial part of surviving that timeline is entirely changing your relationship with mistakes.
Okay, the materials use this great example of a 1-year-old baby named Mia who is learning to walk. She stands up, takes a wobbly step, and boom, she falls flat on the floor.
And notice how the adults in the room react to that. We don't look at a baby and say, wow, your balance is terrible. You clearly don't have a talent for walking.
Better just stick to crawling, Mia.
Right, better just give up. We don't do that.
We cheer for her. We clap because she tried. But when we try to speak a new language as adults, we don't give ourselves that same grace. Why are we so terrified of stumbling?
Because as adults, we have spent decades building an identity as competent, articulate people in our mother tongue. When you switch to a new language, you are suddenly reduced to a toddler's level of expression.
It's a huge blow to the ego.
It is a massive blow to the ego. We fear sounding stupid, but the reality is, just like baby Mia, the fall is the learning mechanism.
A fall is the learning.
Yes. When she falls, her nervous system is actively gathering critical data about gravity, weight distribution, and balance.
So a grammar mistake isn't a sign of stupidity, it's just raw data.
Exactly. Your brain tries a sentence, observes the confusing look on the native speaker's face, and logs that data. It says, oh, that verb tense wasn't right. Let's try a different pathway next time.
Without the mistake, the brain has no feedback loop to improve.
Precisely. No feedback, no improvement.
Okay, so that makes sense on a theoretical level. Mentally, we have to accept the mistakes. But let's be real here. Even with a great mindset, looking at the entirety of a new language feels like standing at the base of a massive mountain.
It's incredibly daunting.
It really is.
Yeah.
You look up at the sheer scale of the work, the thousands of vocabulary words, the complex conjugations, and it is paralyzing. How do you bypass that initial dread of the workload?
By entirely removing the mountain from your field of vision.
Okay, how do we do that?
The sources introduce a philosophy grounded in habit formation. They call it the one brick a day approach.
One brick a day.
Right. You don't wake up and try to build the mountain or even build a whole wall. You focus your entire attention on laying one single brick perfectly. That might mean deciding to learn just 2 new words today, or listening to one 3-minute song.
Wait, just 2 words. I feel like most people would say that's far too easy. You aren't going to get fluent learning 2 words a day.
Well, you won't, but fluency isn't the goal of the first week. Consistency is.
Consistency.
Setting a micro goal bypasses the brain's natural resistance to hard work. Think about it. If your goal is to study for 2 hours, your brain will find a million excuses to avoid it.
Oh, definitely. I need to do the laundry. I need to check my emails. Yeah.
Exactly. But if your goal is to learn just 2 words, it requires so little activation energy that you just do it. This ties directly into a mantra from the source material: don't stop when you're tired, stop when you're done.
I've always struggled with that. The second a textbook gets difficult, the sofa starts looking incredibly inviting.
Humans are wired to seek comfort the moment we experience cognitive fatigue. But if you stop reading your language book after 2 pages just because you feel a little sleepy, you end up carrying this lingering guilt for the rest of the day.
Which is the worst feeling.
It is. However, if you set a tiny achievable goal, say, I will read for exactly 10 minutes, you push through that initial friction. And when the 10 minutes are up, you are officially done.
And then sitting on the sofa actually feels earned. It's like tackling a messy kitchen.
That's a great comparison.
Yeah, the process of scrubbing the dishes is exhausting. But when you finish and you finally sit down in a clean house, that rest feels entirely different. It's true reward.
You have completed the dopamine loop. You set a task, finished it, and rewarded yourself. That is exactly how you build an unbreakable daily habit.
So mentally, we are laying 1 brick a day and accepting our mistakes.
Yeah.
We aren't paralyzed by the sheer size of the mountain anymore. But I want to go back to that moment I mentioned earlier.
It's a coffee shop.
Yes, I'm standing in the coffee shop. The barista asked me a question, and I completely freeze. The brick won't come out. What is actually happening in our brains during that terrifying pause?
You are getting caught in what linguists call the 3-step translation trap. It is the primary reason speaking feels so incredibly slow for learners.
Okay, walk me through the trap.
Step 1, you hear the target language, let's say Spanish. Step 2, your brain routes that Spanish audio into your native English processing center to translate it and figure out what it actually means.
Right.
Step 3, you formulate your response in English, translate it back into Spanish in your head, and then finally send it to your mouth to speak.
Oh, wow. It's like hiring a translator for a high-stakes business negotiation, but the translator is incredibly slow.
Yes, that's exactly it.
By the time they whisper what the client said into your ear and you whisper your reply back to them, the client has already left the room. The conversation is completely moved on. We have to fire that middleman.
Firing the middleman is essential for fluency. You just have to bypass your mother tongue completely. And the way to start doing that, according to the English Prime Channel materials, is to directly label the physical world around you.
Labeling the world. How does that work?
When you look at a pen on your desk, you cannot allow your brain to think of your native word first. You must look at the physical object and instantly trigger the target vocabulary.
So we're linking a universal image directly to the new sound, cutting out the translation step entirely.
Yes, which is exactly why relying on bilingual vocabulary lists is so dangerous. The sources strongly recommend using flashcards with pictures, not native translations.
Because the picture doesn't speak English.
Right. An image of an apple is universal. Your brain connects the target sound for apple directly to that image. It creates a completely new neural pathway.
I suppose that's also why the materials suggest watching simple kids' cartoons or listening to action songs like Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes.
Precisely. Because in a children's cartoon, the character performs an action on screen, like opening a door, while simultaneously saying the phrase, open the door.
So you see it and hear it at the exact same time.
Visually linking the vocabulary to physical reality in real time, there is literally no time for the middleman to translate.
Now, the sources take this a step further with a concept they call the English mode. The idea is to carve out just 5 minutes a day to narrate your own life out loud.
It sounds a bit eccentric, I know, to walk around your house talking to yourself, saying, I am making coffee, I'm opening the fridge, I'm feeling tired, but it is a highly effective cognitive exercise.
How does narrating making coffee actually change my brain, though? It sounds so simple.
It forces neuroplasticity. When you narrate your life out loud on the spot, you are demanding that your brain produce language directly from your physical environment without a script.
No script.
Exactly. It turns passive understanding, which uses one part of the brain, into active, real-time generation, which uses a completely different neural network. You are physically paving a new highway in your mind.
Okay, so we are paving the highway, getting the brain to think directly in the new language. But there is a physical reality to speaking that I think a lot of people just completely ignore. The brain can know the word, but the mouth physically struggles to form the sound.
This is a major blind spot for learners. We treat language like it is purely an academic subject, like history or math.
Right, like something you just memorize.
But speaking is a physical, athletic event. Your mouth, your tongue, your vocal cords, these are complex muscle groups. English uses entirely different tongue placements and throat shapes than, say, Mandarin or French.
It's like trying to learn to drive a manual transmission car just by reading the owner's manual.
Oh, that's a brilliant way to put it.
You can memorize all the steps, but until your foot actually feels the clutch, you are going to stall the engine. Your muscles need memory.
And to build that muscle memory for foreign sounds, the sources highly recommend a technique called shadowing.
Shadowing, meaning you listen to a native speaker, maybe on a podcast or YouTube video, and you repeat what they say immediately, like a fraction of a second behind them, like an echo.
Yes. You aren't just repeating the vocabulary, you are actively mimicking their physical delivery. You match their musicality, their rhythm, where they pause, how they raise their pitch at the end of a question.
You are physically feeling the shape of the language in your own mouth.
Exactly. The materials also suggest recording your own voice on your phone while you do this to track your progress.
Oh man, I feel like that would terrify most people. Nobody likes listening to their own recorded voice, let alone in an unfamiliar accent.
It is deeply uncomfortable at first, I won't lie, but it is the fastest way to get over the fear of your own voice. By listening back, you become your own teacher.
That makes sense.
You can hear exactly where your rhythm sounds rigid compared to the native speaker, and then you just adjust.
Okay, I want to push back on the shadowing idea for a second, though. Let's say I'm doing the shadowing, I'm echoing the podcast. But if I'm just parroting sounds and I don't actually know what the individual words mean, aren't I just faking it?
That's a fair point.
The second a real conversation goes off script, won't I just freeze again trying to find the right vocabulary?
That is a very real concern. And it brings us to one of the most powerful shortcuts revealed in the sources. To prevent that freeze, you have to stop memorizing single words.
Wait, really? Stop learning words like cat, dog, house. How do you build a vocabulary without single words?
You don't learn them in isolation. Instead, you train your brain using chunks.
Define a chunk in this context.
A chunk is a group of words that naturally go together in everyday speech. They are pre-assembled, ready-to-use tools.
Okay, give me an example.
For example, instead of learning the single word point, and then later in a conversation desperately trying to remember the grammar rules to build a sentence around it, you learn the entire chunk. That's a good point.
Ah, I see.
Or instead of learning the word mean, you learn the chunk. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow. It's about reducing the cognitive load on your brain. If you learn the whole chunk as one single unit, you completely bypass grammar anxiety.
You really do.
You don't have to stop and think about subject-verb agreement or prepositional phrases in the middle of a sentence because the phrase is already put together for you.
Exactly. When your brain is operating in real-time conversation, it doesn't want to do complex linguistic math. It wants to reach into a file cabinet and pull out a complete, correct thought.
That's so much easier.
Chunks instantly make you sound more fluent because you are delivering whole phrases smoothly, rather than stuttering out a sentence word by agonizing word while the other person waits.
So, if our mouths are trained and we are reducing our cognitive load by using chunks, What are the actual words native speakers use to navigate daily life? Because, textbook English often sounds very different from street English.
It really does. A massive component of a native speaker's daily toolkit, and something that often totally confuses learners, is the phrasal verb.
A phrasal verb. Oh, I know these drive learners crazy. It's basically a verb paired with a small word, like a preposition, that creates a totally new meaning.
Yes, and they are absolutely everywhere in spoken English. Think about a simple morning routine. You don't just awake, you wake up, meaning your eyes open, but then you have to get up, meaning you physically leave the
Right.
mattress.
And you don't dress yourself, you put on your clothes, and at the end of the day, you don't remove your garments, you take off your clothes.
Exactly.
The nuances are so incredibly specific. If you lose your keys, you look for them. But if you want to know what time a movie starts, you don't look for the time, you find out the time.
What's interesting to note here is why native speakers rely so heavily on phrasal verbs. English is a hybrid language. It has a Germanic base and a Latin and French overlay.
Okay, a history lesson. I love it.
Well, the Latin-based words like ascend, discover, remove, they sound very academic and formal. But the Germanic base, go up, find out, take off, feels physical and grounded.
That makes total sense.
Native speakers instinctively prefer this physical, grounded language for everyday life because it feels more relatable and way less robotic.
It's like the secret code of casual life.
Yeah.
And the sources also talk about these little filler words, right? Things like, actually, probably, kind of, by the way, again. And guess what?
Linguists sometimes call them conversational lubricants. They just smooth out the interaction.
I always compare these small phrases to the seasoning in a dish. Do you
Hmm.
just use strict textbook vocabulary? The language definitely works. It gives you the communicative calories you need.
Right, keeps you alive.
Exactly. But it tastes bland. It tastes robotic. Throwing in an actually or a, by the way, gives the conversation that natural human flavor.
Mastering these daily routines and small phrases creates a true recipe for conversation. The sources highlight everyday survival vocabulary for this exact reason. Knowing how to talk about a messy house, or eating leftovers for dinner, or, navigating a shopping mall.
The mall survival vocab was great. Knowing to look for the food court, asking where the fitting room is so you can try it on, and of course, the most important phrase in any language, where is the bathroom?
Always essential. Focusing on this specific daily toolkit entirely removes the pressure of needing to sound like a perfect academic. It roots your new language in shared human experiences.
We all eat leftovers.
We all get lost looking for the bathroom. It gives you the tools to just be a normal person in a new culture.
So let's look at the bigger picture here. We are laying our daily bricks. We've fired the mental middleman. We are shadowing to train our muscles. We are using chunks and phrasal verbs. What is the ultimate payoff for all this hard work?
The payoff is using the language as a tool for actual life management. It's opening up the world around you. The sources give this fascinating example of using English to learn budgeting terminology.
Right. Differentiating between needs like water, rent, and groceries versus wants like expensive coffees or the latest video games.
By learning how to set a savings goal for a new bicycle using a piggy bank, you aren't just memorizing flashcards anymore. You are living your adult life, solving real-world problems through the medium of the new language.
It opens physical doors, too.
Yeah.
Materials talk about making lifelong friends in foreign hostels simply because you share a common language, or being able to lead international work projects.
Or the pure joy of finally watching a movie without relying on subtitles.
My favorite example was using an English YouTube tutorial to figure out how to fix a broken washing machine. You are saving money and fixing appliances because you laid those vocabulary bricks.
But there is a crucial final step. Once you have gathered all these incredible life experiences, traveling, working, fixing things, you need a way to easily share them with others in conversation.
That's the whole point of communicating.
And this brings us to a specific grammatical tool highlighted in the sources, the present perfect tense.
Okay, grammar can be dry, so how does this actually help us share our lives?
Think of the present perfect not just as a grammar rule, but as a bridge. It connects your past experiences directly to the present moment. It uses have plus the past participle. For example, I have been to the supermarket.
As opposed to just saying, I went to the supermarket. What is the difference in feeling there?
Well, if you say, I went to Paris, you are closing the door. It is in the past. It is a historical fact that is over. But if you say, I have been to Paris, you are bringing that experience into the room right now.
Oh, I see.
You are offering it to the other person as a piece of your current identity.
It's an invitation. It's like a status update for your life
Yeah.
that invites the other person to say, oh, me too.
Exactly. It is how we ask people about their life experiences to build connections. You ask, have you ever eaten pineapple on pizza?
Which is a highly controversial question that could absolutely end a friendship, by the
Right.
way.
It really could. But asking, have you ever, opens a door to someone's past that is completely relevant to the person sitting in front of you right now. It is the ultimate tool for discovering shared humanity.
Let's pull all of this together for the listener. We started with a psychological foundation, adopting that growing mindset and wielding the magic word yet.
A very powerful word.
Then we fired the slow mental translator by linking words directly to the physical world and embracing the English mode.
We also examined the physical reality of speaking, stretching those mouth muscles through shadowing, and significantly reducing our brain's cognitive load by learning in pre-assembled chunks rather than isolated words.
And finally, we explored how using grounded, native phrasing like phrasal verbs and connecting our past to our present with the present perfect tense really allows us to navigate daily life and unlock amazing new experiences.
The overarching theme here, whether you are preparing for a high-stakes global business meeting, navigating the subway in a new city on vacation, or just desperately trying to fix that broken washing machine, is that the goal is always communication, not perfection.
Absolutely.
Your unique accent is not a flaw you need to eradicate. It is simply a badge of your bravery. It proves that you are trying to connect.
I think that is the perfect note to end on. And I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to really chew on as you continue your journey. Take a moment to think about your own native language, the language you were literally born speaking.
Think about how you use it every day.
I guarantee you stumble over words, you forget people's names, and you make weird grammatical mistakes in your mother tongue every single day. We all do.
It is just part of the human condition.
So why do you demand absolute robotic perfection from yourself in a brand new language? Give yourself the grace to be human. Embrace the messy, frustrating, wonderful process of learning. Lay your one brick today.
Just one brick.
And hey, if you found value in today's deep dive into the English Prime channel, please do us a huge favor, like, share, and subscribe. It really helps others find the show and aids them on their own language learning journey. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you on the next one.